Operation Sultan 10 was an operation of the Iranian Air Force on the 29th of October 1980, the beginning of the Iran-Iraq War. In this operation, 6 F-4E Phantom IIs from IRIAF's 31st and 3 ND Squadrons took part in an attack on the Al-Hurriah Airbase near Mosul in Saddam Hussein's Iraq. Motivation. In the last days of October 1980, commanders of the 1st Military Airbase of Iran in Tehran received intelligence that French engineers had been sent to Iraq in numbers of Mirage F-1s which the Iraqi Air Force had bought from France, held at Al-Hurriah Airbase near Mosul. This personnel of the French Air Force were appointed to train Iraqi pilots and technicians to use Mirage F-1s. Operation. The operation was called Sultan 10, meaning only 10 fighters were supposed to cross the borders. The target was 180 miles inside Iraq at Mosul. 8 Phantom, 3 Tomcat and 3 Boeing 707 tankers were planned for the operation. Both Tomcat fighters should have been beside tankers to protect them, because loss of tankers would cost the loss of all 6 Phantoms. If the operational team crossed the Iran's border right to Mosul, they would engage with air defense bases which were supplied with SAM-2, SAM-3, and SAM-6. Commanders ordered radio silence and start the operation before dawn. Just before getting into Iraq borders, they refueled and used Turkish airspace to enter Iraq. Tankers and Tomcats stayed at low altitude and waited for the Phantom's return. During protecting tankers, one of Tomcat's radars was always off to reduce recognition possibilities by Iraq. Meanwhile, the attack team bombed Mosul and was on the way to Iran. Because of using max capacity of air-to-surface missiles, none of Phantoms had air-to-air missiles. By advantage of Ant-9 Aruban Florins, Tomcats noticed that 4 fighters are heading toward Phantoms at 40 miles. As the Phantoms did not have any missiles to protect themselves, Sultan 7 and Sultan 8 were ordered to protect them. They headed toward them and raised their altitude to 15,000 feet. But they did not notice the existence of Tomcats, so they raised to 20,000 feet and again to 22,000 feet. Sultan 7 missiles, Sultan 8 missiles. At 45 miles from those 4 fighters, the Tomcats recognized the were for MiG-23. Sultan 7 ordered both Tomcats to turn their ECCM on, but after a while his own system got spoiled and Sultan 8 ECCM must have covered both aircraft. At 20 miles from 4 MiG-23, Captain Sedki told his co-pilot to prepare to aim 54 Phoenix missiles. The first missile launched, followed 8 seconds later by the second. The first missile destroyed aircraft at the same time of hit. The second one seemed to not hit it, but co-pilot said it paralyzed the plane, and Sultan 8 confirmed it along this report that the warhead exploded either earlier or later than it is supposed to. Iraqi fighters now noticed the danger and reduced their altitude, which Iranian pilots said was the mistake that made the work easier. In only 7 miles to the MiG-23, it's supposed to Sultan 7 and 8 launch the missiles together, but it revealed the CSD system of Sultan 8 was not working, which meant he could not use its missiles and only could use the M61 Vulcan. Captain Sedki told Sultan 8 to stay aside the Sultan 9 and Sultan 10 and wait until he came back. Sedki turned the afterburner on and the 2 MiG-23s split up, with the leader going right and the follower going left. Sedki chased the leader and released first AIM-7, which hit the tail, and seconds later a wing detached and it leaped toward the ground. Then the co-pilot noticed that the other MiG-23 is approaching from behind. set Kishad the afterburner off and by performing a maneuver, reduced the speed from 520 miles to 150 miles and took the nose cone down toward the MiG-23 that was now passing below and shot the second AIM-7, which hit the tail, sending the MiG-23 went down, but its pilot ejected and it was the only pilot who survived. One of the killed pilots was Ahmad Sabah, who took down two Northrop F-5 of IRIAF in the early days of war.